Hey guys, Will here with CreateStudio, and today I'm going to show y'all how to use the camera effect inside of CreateStudio Pro. Alright, so I've got my scene built out, I've got a background, I've got my character animation, and I really want to use the camera to bring my scene to life. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go to Components, and once I've opened that up, I want to find the camera, and I want to drag that camera onto my scene. Alright, so once I've got that, it opens up camera mode. You've got some options here on the right side. And then you've got a camera track now added to your timeline. And you'll know that worked when you see the camera icon in the top left corner of your timeline. All right. So this is where you are going to add camera animations so that you can adjust them, right? So my first step is to find the spot I want to add my first camera animation. So my character does a thumbs up. So I'm going to go ahead and find that spot. And right before he does a thumbs up, so about right there, I'm going to right click with my mouse on the camera track, and then I'm going to add an animation. And there you go, you've added your first camera animation, right? So before I can adjust it, I need to drag my cursor to the end of that camera. So once it's there, I can select it, and now I can adjust it as I need. So you have access to the four corners of this camera, and I'm going to go ahead and scale it down, and I'm going to move it about right there. I'm going to create a medium shot on my character. And the idea for me here is I want to create a zoom effect that zooms into that medium shot. So that's about where I want it to go. And take note that the length of your camera animation determines the speed of your camera effect, I should say. So if it's long, you'll see that when it plays back, it's got a slower zoom in, right? For me, I'm looking for a faster zoom. So I'm gonna go ahead and scale it back a little bit and then play that back and see how it goes. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Awesome. So I've got that camera animation down. I'm ready to move on to camera 2. Now for camera 2, I want to pan left so it shows the text that kind of displays there in the center of the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and move my cursor a little bit after that first camera animation. Then I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to right click. I'm going to add animation. So now I have two camera animations. I'm going to drag my cursor to that end of that second one, and then I'm going to select that camera. Now I can pan left, move it, and then frame it into the spot I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and just scale it in just a little bit more. And then again, I want it to be a faster move, so I'm gonna go ahead and make my camera animation a little smaller. And now when I play that back, I've got the zoom effect and I've got a cool pan left that displays my text. Got it? Not too hard. It really adds some cool dynamics to your scene that you're working with, right? Now the third feature I wanna show you is how to rotate the camera. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add another camera animation right after my second one. And I right click again, add animation, and then I move the cursor to the end of that animation, select my camera 3, and if I put my mouse on the four corners of this camera now, you'll see that it turns into like a double-sided arrow. So if I click and hold, I can rotate this around a few times to my desired effect. And then when I release it, I've now created a camera rotation. So if I play that back, let me speed it up a little bit. You'll see that it has this cool little rotational effect. So there's my zoom, there's my pan, and then there is my camera rotation. Pretty nice, right? So you can do that around text, you can do that around a background, you can do that around an animation itself. Just another feature that kind of gives your scene a little more dynamics. All right, now maybe I want to end that scene where it shows the text and my character, right? So I'm gonna add one more camera. I'm gonna right click, and then I'm gonna add that fourth camera, and I'm gonna drag my cursor right past that fourth camera there, select it, and now I'm gonna kind of expand it out a little bit and pull it down so it shows him as a full along with the Eiffel Tower there in the back. Cool. And maybe I want it to be like this. All right, so let's make it happen a little faster. So now, as opposed to ending on the text, it's gonna go to a zoom, it's gonna pan left there, it's gonna rotate around, and then it's gonna go ahead and pop back out as like a full shot there. It's a nice little way to end your scene, right? So it's pretty cool to have the effects to be able to zoom, to pan, to rotate the camera. It kind of really brings your scene to life. All right, so one of the cool features that CreateStudio will do is it'll alert you if your camera is out of the canvas zone. So for example, if I was resizing this and I went outside the canvas, it turns red and it tells you, hey, your camera is outside the canvas zone. Make sure that you reposition your camera so it's corrected inside of your scene. So then I would have to go and readjust and do that. Same thing if I was doing rotation, if I was rotating and I was like, oh, I'm outside of that. But even if I come back in and end it like, oh, well, what does it matter, Will? I'm gonna rotate around and be back in the box. It's not gonna matter. Well, if you render out with your camera moving around outside of your canvas, it's going to create a bunch of black spots in your video and it's not going to look cool. So make sure you either resize your camera, scale in a little bit, and just kind of make sure that when you do rotate or you move your camera around that you stay within the canvas. And that the cool feature of CreateStudio Pro is that it tells you, hey, outside the zone, rotate it back in or get it back in there. So that's a cool feature that they put in there for you. Another thing too is if you've zoomed in on something and you're like, oh, you know what, I just want to go back to the regular view. I want it to be expanded for a wide shot like I've had it before. You don't have to go to each 4 corners and then kind of pull it out to the corner there. You can just hit expand camera here on the right side and it'll take it out there for you. Kind of a cool feature there just to kind of quickly get you back into the regular mode there. And the last thing I want to show you is camera easing. All right, so if I go back to my first camera here and I select it, if you right click a camera animation and go to easing, you'll get some options for, you can adjust the transition of the camera, the way it comes in and the way it goes out, for both of them at the same time, or you can choose a specific easing point for the in, and then you can choose one for the out. But just to show you, let's go with the in and out, and let's choose the elastic, and then let's play that back so you can kind of see what that does. So if I go there, it goes there, and then it pans back into my other moves, right? So just kind of cool features that easing does to kind of change it up a little bit and add some different transition types for your camera moves. All right, so hopefully you got some quick tips out of there and some good stuff that kind of helps you create some good motion inside of your scenes. We can't wait to see what you create, and I'll catch you on the next tutorial.